Hi, this is Angela from Ascended World, bringing you Element 1 on the Course in Forgiveness as part of the Adventures in Wonderland program. And so before I start, I'm going to explain a couple of things since this is the first element, and that is especially, so in this course, what we've done is we've broken every 7 elements down into different categories, right? So we're starting with world level and collective things, and then we're going to build our way back down to like community, to, what's right around us and to what's within us. And you'll see the sort of the method to our madness as we go along, because one thing builds on another. And our perception understanding, I know you've listened to the intro video or watched the intro video, is that we all are the creators of this set of dimensions. We are all the creators of all this duality. And so therefore, at some level, right, we've created all of this. So when I say that, that means that when we look at anything we judge is something to be forgiven or apologize for, and I'm going to talk about that cycle in a minute. Anything that we held judgment on is something to look at forgiveness on, right? So it's not just, your brother or your father or your mother or your neighbor. It is anything that we hold inside of us that we have a trigger or a judgment about that can cause us the need to let it go through apology and forgiveness. So when we take that perception that we have done and created all of this, right, it's not just one-sided. It's never just one-sided. It's never forgiveness. Because when we say, I forgive you, we're putting it outside of ourselves. Except when we talk about forgiving ourselves, which essentially it all is anyway, because we're all just reflections of our divine self. And when we look at the bigger picture as the creator, and at some levels of emotion, of egoic emotion, and when I say egoic emotion, as you've listened to the intro video or watched the intro video, we have talked about, how those are things like fear, anxiety, anger, guilt, doubt, sorrow, shame, pain, blame, judgment. Anything that we judge has place to be forgiven, have that forgiven cycle for. So that's why we're covering all of these things that many are going to be very unexpected. Some things you'll just flow right on through, and some might just trip you up, which is why we did this as a self-motivated course, like a self-paced course, because we know that there are going to be some things that might trip you up and you might need to do it 4 or 5 times. There might be times you do an element and say, I need to sit on this for like a couple of days or a week or whatever. Sometimes 2, and then, before I can come back and continue on, and that's okay. It's all good. It's all just making sure we do it. So now we'll get into what we consider the cycle of forgiveness, the circle of forgiveness. And when we cover all this, and we're not saying these all specifically in our clearings, we're saying, but this is the idea. So we apologize as the creator in some way, shape, or form to ourselves and to others, which is all ourselves, right? We forgive, we accept what it is as a bigger, as part of the bigger picture. We embrace it with love, and then have gratitude for it because of its place in the bigger picture and what has helped us to create. So we can say, I forgive something, but if we don't go through this whole cycle, Sarah and I have found that it's just not complete. It's only a partial coverage, right? So when we get to all that, and it's important to get around that circle to that place of not only acceptance, but to gratitude, love and gratitude for whatever it is and how we have created it, and its complexity and beauty and perfection in fitting into that symphonic hologram that we call these realities, right? Then we can come to peace with it. It won't trip us up anymore. We don't hold judgment on it. So therefore we can just flow right past it, and we don't have to create it anymore. So that's where all of this comes from, right? So now, since I know y'all did the first day of the workbook, or the first element workbook on disasters, that's our first element. We're talking about world and collective level stuff for the first 7 elements. So element 1 is about disasters, world level events, world or collective level events that are natural or man-made disasters. So we can talk about volcanoes and earthquakes and, you know, blizzards and tsunamis and all that kind of stuff. We can also talk about animal extinctions, you know, oil spills that affect, you know, good pieces of us, you know, good pieces of our planet, deforestation, chemical accidents, nuclear accidents, stuff like that. So when we look at that, I'm going to go on a side note again for a moment. As we said in the intro video as well, when we see things, you know, as they come up in guidance, and if you have done the whole program with us and done course 3 on guidance, we've gotten to a place of going, of recognizing that all of this is guidance. Everything in our realities is guidance. Every single thing that we have created is a reminder to ourselves of what we've forgotten in the plan of the bigger picture and the big holographic symphony, and what we have placed here to complete that in, you know, in its completion. So it's all a reminder back to us. So here's the thing. We don't just have one little ping for anything that we need to remind ourselves with. We actually have a ton of them, and they start out as little whispers and little pokes, and then they get louder and they become louder in our consciousness, and then it becomes like a push, and then it becomes a shove, and then sometimes it becomes some physical manifestation in our body, like a injury or an illness. And then if we continue to ignore it because it's uncomfortable, which is what we do, or we're just, you know, we're just not conveniently not looking in that direction, we can create that around us with those, you know, in the community, in those in our purview that reflect back things to us in the same way. So it can then become part of our environment, people we know, then it can be our community, and then it can become collective. The more, and here's the thing, we all are part of the, well, the divine consciousness is what we would call a collective. It's the whole of the consciousness, and we faceted it into all these individual illusions of separation to create this symphony, this holographic symphony. So when we look at the bigger picture, the way we accept the bigger picture, where we see what we've created, and it's like, oh, well, I had to wait to get to, you know, double R, double S, you know, as to like for my reminder, and now it's time for me to look at it, you know. When we ignore it at a collective level, it does go to a collective level event. Oh, that's what I was saying. That affects every single one of us in some way, shape, or form. And the reason being that if we are part of the collective, every single thing we have going on as an individual is simply through the filter of our individual ego, but it's all the same energy. So therefore, anything at world level or collective level affects us, even if it doesn't affect us directly, it is a message for us to look at stuff. So when we start looking at disasters that way, then we stop calling them disasters, and I started calling them catalytic events, not cataclysmic, but catalytic, because they are to cause change of movement, change of propulsion in this whole existence of duality, so that we finally get the message to ourselves that we have been trying to get to ourselves and ignoring at individual and community levels. So when we talk about things like, and that includes earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, you know, weather extremes, it includes, you know, mass shootings, it includes all of that. The question to ask is, what did we need to create this for that we're ignoring? What is the message here so we can complete it? And then, so when that all happens, right, and instead of judging it, we take full self-responsibility for it, which, by the way, is, you know, course 5, which is the one right after this in the Adventures in Wonderland program. So this is what it is, what's important for us to look at. Being able to step away from our judgment of the disasters and accept them as part of the bigger picture of stuff that we've just ignored up until it's gotten to this collective level. So now it's so loud that it's important for us to address and resolve. So when we go there, it's to see them as perfect as they are and to allow ourselves the guidance, go back to course 3, on what it is there to be showing me and showing us so that we can resolve it and not have to go even bigger. Okay. So the clearing statement for today is I experience and accept all world level disasters, past, present. I'm going to say all world level and collective disasters, past, present, and future, for what they all are or have been in the bigger picture. It is with apology, forgiveness, acceptance, and love that I have gratitude for the lessons that are now complete in singularity within themselves, all of us and myself. Powerful words. So everybody close your eyes, take a deep breath, open your heart, and step out of separation back into wholeness, oneness. As we hold ourselves in the vibration where that statement is our truth, it's from where we exist, it's from where we create, and from where we experience. All right. That was interesting. We saw these like sort of like representations of different events and had little eyes on them like potatoes. You know, they've been sitting in the closet for too long. And we just had to scrub the eyes off because they were sort of like the little hooks that would pull you, you know, like into getting lost in the judgment of the situation versus seeing what the purpose of it is in the big picture. So once it was all smoothed off and cleaned up, and it was like very shiny, and it became a mirror. So it was very easy to see what that was. So, so sit on that. Your affirmation for today. And you can write this in your journal on a Post-it, hang it, on your thing. Sarah likes talking about putting it on your mirror in the bathroom, like with a dry erase marker. I apologize to, forgive, accept, nurture, and have gratitude for the lessons and consciousness created by world disasters, past, present, and future, that are now complete. Feels really good. So have a great one, and we will see you for the next element. Bye.